Russia's energy company Gazprom has invoked force majeure for its failure to deliver contractually agreed natural gas shipments in recent weeks. This is raising concerns that it could use the same argument to turn off the tap to Europe later this week instead of resuming gas flows to the continent this Friday as previously scheduled. Gazprom stopped deliveries last week via the Nord Stream 1 as the pipeline is undergoing annual maintenance, which is a routine procedure. But European officials are really fearing that Moscow won't restore the flows after the maintenance ends on Thursday, making it really hard for several European nations to build reserves for the winter and potentially plunging the continent into a deep recession. Meanwhile, oil prices have spiked sharply, with the WTI gaining 5.1% on Monday, the largest percentage gain since May 11. For more on this now, let's go to Craig Erlam, who is a senior market analyst at OANDA. Craig, many thanks for being with us this morning. So first of all, what do you make of this declaration? I mean, is this the weaponization of energy that we've all been fearing and a sign that Gazprom is essentially protecting itself legally at this point?
Well, all we can really do is speculate at this point, but that's certainly what it looks like. The declaration of force majeure, like you say, it's just a way to protect the company legally. But the fear, as you've already alluded to, is that the same argument will be used on Thursday when they're meant to resume operations after the annual maintenance. That's the fear with Europe. And the reason why it's such a concerning prospect is because European reserves are around 60%. They should be more like 80 or 90% going into the winter in order to sustain it through that winter period, especially if there is a risk of Russia cutting off the gas again. So there is massive fear now that that is going to become a very big issue and that we're going to see Russia applying the pressure from the end of this week going into that really concerning winter period, at which point we will have to see some measures being brought in order to try and restrain use of energy and also prevent prices spiking much higher.
Yeah, it's interesting, Craig. I mean, we really have to see what happens on Friday first. But we also know that Brussels is set to unveil a series of gas reduction recommendations for the autumn and winter, as you've just alluded to. And I wonder, how much can households actually save in Europe, not to mention companies? What would this mean for Germany's industries, for instance, the European industries?
Well, I think from Brussels' perspective, every little helps. So if they can continue to drive home the message that wasted energy is going to hurt Europe ultimately, then I think that is going to help. But I think then once we start to talk about rationing, then it is going to be the focus is going to fall less on households and more on businesses, business wastage, but then also energy intensive industries. That's going to be an area of focus as well for Europe. It all depends really on what happens on Friday and what kind of levels we're looking at come the autumn, late autumn going into winter in terms of storage. If there's storage levels, if Russia does reopen and continue supplying from Friday and we see storage hit 80-90% going into that winter period, then this isn't a major issue. If Russia was to turn off the gas storage, I believe going into that winter period with stores at around 90%, then Europe could sustain through that winter period, and therefore we wouldn't see an immediate crisis. But of course, then after that, we could potentially see further crises going into next year. The issue is coming this Friday.
Interesting. Thank you for this update, Craig Erlam.